move on to this next one, parental resilience. Parental resilience. Parenting is not easy, right? It can be stressful. Parents play many roles. They're taxi drivers and cooks, and they clean, and toy makers and fixers, right? They have all these roles, these many roles that they perform, and it's tiring and it's stressful. A lot of the parents don't have the resources and the help that they need, and they experience this burnout, and they experience a lot of stress. So think of a time when you lost your patience. Anyone lost their patience? Anyone besides me? Think of a time, maybe it was a child, maybe a child you work with, maybe it's a family that you work with. Think of a time when you lost your patience with a child. How did you feel when it was happening? What was going on? Now looking back and thinking that through. When you lost it. Frustration. Yeah, frustration. Maybe at them, maybe sometimes with ourselves as well, because we know we shouldn't be doing this and we should be acting better. Yes. What kind of a day were you having? Think back to that.
Not a great day.
Yeah, not a great day. Yeah, sometimes we start out on the wrong foot, and the toast burns, the milk spills, and the TV gets turned up full volume, and all kinds of stress, and then right, and then we turn into reactive mode again. Was there anyone who stepped in and helped? Think about that. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes we're on our own as parents, that there's not immediately someone here, or this is what you should do, and this is how I could help. That sometimes we're on our own as parents. What might make the situation worse? When you've already lost your patience with the child, what might really get you going? Or are there other factors that might make it worse?
Losing your temper with the children.
Yeah, losing your temper with the children, definitely. Yeah, finally we've switched to reactive mode and we lose our temper with our kids. How well do we interact when we are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? HALT, that acronym. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. What about all four of those? Anyone ever experienced all four of those at the same time? Now, what about your kiddos or the families you work with? Take a parent that has HALT and a child is experiencing HALT. Yeah, and it's dinner time or it's a grocery store. That's the classic one, right? And it's just, stress. Yeah, so what happens? What happens? Very interesting. So this is the object lesson. This is your brain, right? And you can think pretty clearly when things are going smoothly, right? And you're in the responsive mode. And then something happens and a child starts whining over and over. You're at the store and your heart rate starts to increase. You're getting more and more tense and more upset. Something interesting happens inside the brain. So the frontal lobe, the frontal part of our brain, that's more the rational part. That's the CEO, the decision-making part of our brain. Where's the limbic system? Right back here, the brainstem, the amygdala. That's more of the emotional part or the reactive part of our brains. And these two parts of the brain are always working simultaneously back and forth, kind of processing things. Give you an example. What do you think my frontal lobe, the rational part, was telling me the first time I went bungee jumping? What do you think it was telling me? Yeah, it was saying, don't do this. Don't jump. What do you think the limbic system was telling me? Yeah, it was like, da, 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 da. Yeah, it was just this excitement, right? This thrill. And then I got up to the ledge, and what do you think my frontal lobe was telling me?
Hey, stupid, what are you doing?
Yeah, stupid, don't do this. You're going to die, right? It was this, I was shaken, but my limbic system, still excited.
Yeah.
And then I turn around, my buddies, right? Shram dog, right? They're chanting me, getting me all, okay, yeah, let's do this. And so then I jump, and then, you get this flood of emotion. The same thing happens in parenting. We get kind of worked up, and our minds are telling us what? Yeah, be patient, and don't do it. And then our child does one last thing, right, or comes back, and he hit me, and has bite marks on their neck. They're like, right? And then something happens inside the brain. We lose it. So the back part of the brain hijacks the front part, and it just overrides it. And instead of being filtered back and forth, it comes right out of our mouth instead of being filtered through the frontal lobe. And we just start saying and doing things that don't make sense. And the sick and twisted part about all this is that for many parents and for all of us, this feels good. This kind of this adrenaline rush. We kind of lose it in the heat of the moment. It does. It kind of feels good. And parents can get, carried away and they're spanking a child and over here, and then another one runs by and they say, hey, you haven't had one in a while. Get back here, right? And they grab another child and they go, because it's hard to control what you say or do once you've kind of lost it. Yeah, once you've kind of lost it, you get this flood of adrenaline that goes flying through your system. You can't think very clearly now. And that's what happens inside when we get too stressed out. The parents we work with, they kind of lose it. We say lose it, and that's really what we've done. We've lost this ability to process rationally. Then what happens? About 20 minutes later, it takes the human body about 20 minutes, guys. It takes us a little bit longer, research shows, to calm this down, to kind of get it out of our system. Then what do we feel? We feel regret, remorse, right? Guilt sets in. And that's because the frontal lobe then engages, it has the oxygen, and it says, you idiot, right? Because we think, I shouldn't have done that, or I feel bad, I shouldn't have said that. So that is really a kind of an object lesson, and you know what this takes? It's very complicated. Water and glitter, right? To make these yourself, simply just a little glitter bottle, but it can be a powerful example to show parents, this is what's happening in your brain, and even with your kiddos, right? When they get all upset, and they can't think straight, and you're trying to correct them in the heat of the moment, and their brains are like this. Research shows that when we've lost it, it's very difficult to have compassion or empathy or see another person's perspective. When we've just lost it. Yeah, we can only see our own when we're like this. So this is not the time to try to teach anyone a lesson or any kind of discipline. You have to wait till this calms down a little bit. So I like that visual as a good example for both parents and for them to help understand what happens to them. Why do some adapt to stressors better than others? Interesting book, great book. Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. These are some 5 big points that come from this book about why some do well and why do others not do as well. These are those who do well. They have these areas. An outlet for frustration. What kind of outlet do you have? What do you do when you get stressed out, frustrated? What are some things that you do? Run, exercise. One of the best things you can do. Yeah, helps get rid of actually that cortisol that's in our brains. Kind of, gets rid of that. More endorphins. Good. What else?
Rest, lay down.
Okay, maybe it's music, rest, lay down, good. Other things that you do? You have an outlet? Talk to someone, yeah. A social connection, yeah, we'll come back to that one. Social support, yep, is a big one. Those can be tied together. A sense of predictability and a feeling of control. Those who have that, the sense of, okay, can I do anything about this right now? Or is this a stressor that I have no control over? You're making a list. Which ones do I have control? Do I have some sense of predictability, or is it just pure chaos? Interesting research on this. They've done studies in a care center. They've taken half the people in the care center, and they gave these folks the opportunity to have some predictability and some choice. They said, okay, you can decide what movies we're going to watch, when the plants are watered, who's going to water them, when visiting hours are, those types of things. This group over here, nothing. We make all your decisions, right? We take totally control of your lives. 18 months later, what happens as far as happiness going on? This group over here, so much more happy, but even more stunning, twice as many people in this group died over 18 months when they have no control. Everything's kind of done for them. Twice as many, can you believe that? So on this side, having some sense of predictability, some sense of control, rather than feeling the victim, that I have no say in the situation. An optimistic outlook. We'll talk about this one more, about the influence of positivity and how helpful, and the research that has exploded in the last decade on positivity and optimism. And as we mentioned, social support is another outlet, and we'll come back to that one. So how do you best manage stress? Positively managing stress helps us feel better. Feeling better helps us act better, which helps us treat others better, which helps us feel better. Let's have to think about that, read that one slowly, right? When we're doing well, when we're feeling better, when we manage that better, we are better people. we're better parents. And it does. That spills over. The positivity aspect of that spills over as well. I like this quote. Some researchers now tell us that the healthiest people are not necessarily those who had perfect childhoods, but those who have made peace with their childhoods. So now's a good chance to take a look at some of the tools. I want to point you to a tool specifically in Parent Resilience. So go to Parent Resilience. Again, flip past the PowerPoint slides. And then you see the blue sheet. And again, a reminder, the first paper after the blue sheet is a little summary. And then you will see the tools. These are some examples of some of the tools. Tools on managing stress. And I want to flip to one specifically. I think it might be the last, maybe one of the last tools. It is the last one in this binder. These are from University of Arkansas Extension. Now these are free and available online, but I want to point you to this one specifically. It says Principles of Parenting, Taking Care of the Parent, Replacing Stress with Peace. Do you see that? So I want you to flip the page twice. Okay, flip the page twice. Then you will see 21 suggestions for dealing with stress. See that? 21 suggestions for dealing with stress. What I want you to do is take 2 or 3 minutes at your tables where you are to first read these on your own, and then we're going to go around and share a little bit. So, is that understood? So 2 or 3 minutes, read through some of these, and then we'll talk about some that you do or some that you like. Then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, on those 21 suggestions, anything stand out? Now's the time to share. And say the number, so we can follow along in the sheet.
Number 9.
Number
Things
9.
you love to do. Like you go out to the flower bed and pull weeds and take care of your flower garden.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, number 9. Yep, focus on things that you love to do. Kind of take your mind off some of the stress. Yeah, good. Others that you do, that you like? Tell me what number?
15.
15.
Get help if you need it.
Get help if you need it.
Feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's important, isn't it? Reaching out.
Don't let pride get in your way.
Yeah, that's right. With like the scenario that we talked about. When you're feeling really overwhelmed, you can't do it on your own. Yeah, get help. Reach out. Good.
Number 16,
Number 16.
be patient.
Ah.
Some problems solve themselves with time.
Yeah, sometimes over time, things will work themselves out. Yeah, things will always work out. Yeah, if I wake up and tell myself that in the mirror, right, every morning, things will work out. Things always will work out. Yeah, in the middle of that, sometimes it's stressful and you're bogged down, and if I'm in reactive mode, it's hard to understand, but getting the big picture, things will work out. Good. Any others? Yeah.
Number 2, like the Serenity Prayer, do what you can do.
Ah, yeah, I like that. Do what you can do. Yeah, you can only do so much, but you can do something. Take a little piece at a time. Good, yeah, Dan.
Number 6, use humor.
Humor. Yeah, why is that important?
I think sometimes it helps you realize that you don't always have to take everything. I mean, it may be a serious situation, but
Sure.
if you can see some humor in it, or laugh at yourself, or laugh together, then
Yes.
it can diffuse maybe the anxiety and the stress.
It does. It does diffuse the anxiety and the stress. In fact, there's research to show exactly that. That humor and actually smiling releases dopamine. Dopamine is that woohoo, that good feeling, and finding humor in the situation diffuses it. It literally diffuses it inside the brain. The cortisol and the stress hormones, actually you get a little lift. And it kind of, helps diffuse that inside. So there really is some research evidence backing that up. Yeah, please.
Be a friend to yourself. You're good to yourself and take care of yourself. You can take care of other people better.
Yeah, you really can. Be a friend to yourself. Taking care of yourself so you can spills over in that positivity. You can take care of others. Good. Anything else? Anyone or any other tools that you saw in there that may be useful that you liked?
I like the what went well
The what went well tool. Yeah, why do you like that?
because I think it's good to kind of point out the strengths instead of always focusing on weaknesses because a lot of times that's what when you're in stress, that's what you do.
Yes. So often we hone in to the weaknesses or the negativity, but what went well switches all of that. And it can be even a simple little thing, right? Went for a walk today. For some people, that's what went well, for them. And to focus on the positivity. You know, one of the things that we do in the Shram Fam is at the end of each night, we get together and we say a little family prayer, and then we go around the room and each of us share one thing. We call it our happy thought. What made us happy that day? I start, then my wife, and then our 4 kids, and we share one good thing, the happy thought for the day. What does that do? What does that do for us? Yeah, first, the day ended on a good note. There may have been a lot of stressful things going on, but we focus on the positive right before bedtime. What else does that do for us? Say it again.
Bonding and attachment.
That attachment time, that bonding time where I can actually listen to my child. What was the best part of their day? And then we can all celebrate it. Yeah, good. What else? Any other benefits of doing something like that? Happy thought at the end of the day?
Probably promotes a better night's sleep.
The last thing they remember before they go to bed, hopefully, unless they come out of the room again, right? Is a happy thought. Is happy and is peaceful and is a family interaction. And research shows the more that you share something, the more it's cemented in your brains. So when you're talking about positivity, sharing the positivity, we'll talk about that more later, it's cemented in your brains. Good. So great. I like that what went well. Finding the positive in the situation. Good. Any other tools that anyone wanted to mention that you found useful? It's important, I think, to go through the tools and imagine this. People are more likely to use the tools if they've actually seen them, right? Wow, big aha moment that we learned. And so it's important to at least kind of flip through, see what's available, and then you can draw on it. When you or a family member, professional, when you're working with families and children, you can draw on that. Good. Speaking about the brain, research shows the human brain receives 11 million pieces of information every second. Every second. But we can only focus on 40 bits per second. So we get 40 bits out of 11 million. So what does that mean? It means that the rest is filtered out, by our unconscious or filtered out as spam. We're not processed. So we can only focus on 40 bits per second. What this means is that we have to choose our reality, what we focus on and what we dismiss or ignore. But our brains are wired to what? Pick up negativity. Pick out, whatever's happening around us. We have this negativity bias that no matter what comes in our lives, right, we remember the negative. Think about if you were to receive a report card from your child. They came home and you had 5 A's and a C. What would stick out? Right? Yeah, it would be the C. Or you're in an interview with your boss. And you sit down there for a half hour, having a great time, going through all the things you're doing well, and he says at the end, there's one thing that I'd really like you to work on and focus on, on your reports. You could be a little bit better, more thorough on your reporting. So you get done, you go back to your office. What's the one thing you're going to be thinking about? The 29 minutes of all the positive stuff that's going well? No, it's going to be that one negative thing, right? We have this negativity bias. We pay attention to the negativity. Part of that actually stems back from our brain development, and we are wired for, what's the number one need? Safety. And that's why it's wired back there. Connections down the road, it's number 3. But we're wired for threats, to be perceived threats. So we pick up on negativity, but in reality, our reality is a choice. It depends on what you choose to focus on, your 40 bits per second, what you choose to focus on, and how you perceive and interpret your world. What does that mean? It means that there's a trade-off. I can think about negatives, and that automatically means that I can't be thinking about positives, or I can change my mindset and choose to think about the positivity, all the positives around me. And for me, that was a big aha moment, that I can choose to see the good in whatever situation it is. So we can rethink stress. What do we hear in the media? And a lot of the trainings we receive is this message. Stress is unhealthy. And it is. 70 to 90% of all doctor visits are due to stress-related issues. Also in the news, stress negatively affects most of the organs in the human body. Stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death. And so this message that we get in our society, this chronic stress, and it's unhealthy for us, is that stress is always destructive. That stress is just killing us. However, if we can take time to rethink and reframe stress, to look at some of the positivities, there are some positives, right, depending on the stressor, and if it's chronic or acute or what type of stress it is. Research also shows it can be helpful if managed correctly. Right? It can create greater mental toughness. It can help us actually in our relationships. It can give you a new appreciation for life. When something stressful has happened, does that sometimes make you a little bit more grateful for the non-stressful times? It can actually make you more appreciative of the healthy times. When you're sick and you can't eat, and there's a buffet, and you're like, oh man, right? And it makes you appreciate it the next time when I'm so glad for my health. So some stress can be enhancing. Not always, but some stress can be enhancing. Depends on how it is framed. So the lesson on all this in the research is this. Stop dwelling on and focusing on and sharing all of the stress that's going on in our lives. Think about what happens sometimes in the offices, the people you work with. Sometimes we get into this habit of just sharing all the bad news and all the stress, or this family or that family, and all this that is driving us nuts. It actually leads to more stress, more anxiety, and more depression. Think about this in the helping field right now. Even some of the counselors in the situation so often now, all right, come on in here. Let's start back when you were a child. Tell me how messed up you were. Tell me all the negative stuff that happened in your life. Yikes, what does that do? It cements it in the brain longer. All you're doing, now in some situations, right, it needs to come out for a counselor to know what the situation is so they can help, but it's not healthy when they continue to share it and dwell on it. Focus on it. Man, it just really turns you inward. And when I'm turned inward, I can't see what anyone else needs because I'm so focused on self. So when stress happens, view it as a challenge instead of a threat. Recognize it can improve and increase productivity, both as a parent, as a professional, and then think about the meaning behind the stress. If you're experiencing stress, there's something behind it. Think about the meaning. If I were to say, you know what, there's a child in your school who flunked the math test. Not very stressful. But if I say, that was your child who flunked the math test, now does it become stressful? There's a meaning now behind it. Why do we get stressed out sometimes when we're driving down the road? Someone cuts us off. Think about the meaning, right? Or why are we such a hurry to get somewhere? We don't want to be late. Thinking about the meaning behind it instead of just focusing on the stress can actually make you more stressful. So replacing stress with strength. So why do we react the way that we do? I like this example. So each of us are born, research shows, with between 80 to 100 billion neurons. The latest research I saw was about 86, 87 billion neurons. These are brain cells. So as a new baby, this is what baby is born. They have about 86, 87 billion neurons. And I compare it to a big lump of dirt. So there's your dirt. What happens to this pile of dirt when it starts to rain? And I'm not talking about, it washes away, but what happens? How does the water on the top of that dirt hill get down to the bottom? And this is not a trick question, right? What does it do? Yeah, some of it starts to absorb, and then how does it reach on the outside? How does it get down to the bottom? Say it. It trickles down, but how does it know what path to choose? Does all the water just go straight down? No. What happens? Why is it winding?
Creates a path.
It creates a path, and then future rain, where's that rain going to go? Why does it go down the same pathway? The pattern has been made, it's the path of least resistance, and that is the same thing that is going on within our brains. Think about the brain development that happens. So here's the little channels. Starts to rain, it creates these little patterns, these little channels. Future rain, and then if it keeps raining, how big are some of these going to get? Depending on how hard and fast it's raining, but some of these could get pretty deep and pretty wide, and that water is going to follow that channel down. What happens is the brain, inside the brain, the connections within the brain, synapses, we learn in our brain, right, our neuroscience classes that we all take, there's about 500 trillion, about a half a quadrillion synapses that are formed over time in the brain. So what happens then is that a child is born, begins immediately to form these connections in the brain, and these connections depend on a lot of things. A lot of it is genetics. About half of the connections and stuff depend on genetics. The other half is about the environment. And if a parent or a caregiver is very responsive, baby comes out, immediately now what are they doing? They're putting them skin to skin. Why do they do that? Contact. Why do they do that a lot more? They probably didn't a lot of the babies maybe. Attachment, yep, security. Immediately they start forming this warmth, skin to skin, connection. And inside, in a matter of minutes, then these connections start to form. But if a child now is in a stressful environment, and that a parent doesn't respond warmly when a child cries, instead there's yelling and all kinds of chaos, what kind of connections are happening in the brain? Connections of stress and fear, the safety, right? All these now are starting to form early on. Early on, first 5 years, that's why it's critical 5 years. A lot of these connections are formed. Now, are those connections solid and there's no changing those connections? Interesting research on this the last few years showing no neuroplasticity, meaning it's plastic, that we're soft-wired, not hardwired, that these connections can change. Is it easy to change connections, especially in a parent that's been raised in a stressful environment and now they have a stressful environment? Is that easy to change that? It's not, but it's possible. You can't actually rewire your brain, our brains. It's by focusing on the positives, finding little things. We'll talk about some of this rewiring on some of these next slides, but that is why we either respond or react the way that we do, that we're wired. It's because of how we responded to stress, maybe the family that you grew up in. And then as some of that, all we have to do is hear the door open, right? Oh, kids come in. And that's a trigger, and there it goes down the cable. And some of that is that it's not even a thread. It's like this big hunking cable that is wired that strongly that this is how I react to stress. Or I yell, or I get after, or I spank, because it's just reaction, because it's so wired that way. It's difficult to change, but we can rewire the brain. For this activity, each of you should have a little piece of paper, right? A little pad of paper. Take out a piece of paper. Everyone's going to need a pen. And your job right now, is a little creativity, is I'm going to time you for 30 seconds, and you're going to draw a picture of a police car with as many details as possible, starting right now. Go. 30 seconds. Draw a picture of a police car. "15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pens down. Okay, now I want you to take a look at your tables. Show your cars to the other people around you. Yeah, make fun of their cars. No, don't do that. Let's see some of the cars. Show some of the pictures. I want to see some of the cars. Hold them up. This is good. That's good. Kathy? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Good. Yes. Let me see your cars. Oh, this is good. This is good. Oh, yes, good. Some of you are artists, and some of you are not.
Very perceptive.
Yeah, very perceptive. Something interesting as I look at the majority of the police cars, I notice some similar things. What are some of the similarities?
Lights,
Okay, well, the distinguishing feature, they all have lights. Yes, what else?
sign,
What do they all have? Windshields? Maybe? Wheels. Oh, do they all have wheels? Raise your hand if your car has a wheel. Oh, good. Most of us got wheels on there. Didn't quite get to it. Yeah, that's all right. One thing is we looked at the pictures of the cars that I noticed, most of them, I think all but one, they were all drawn from the same side perspective. Why? Why? Tell me why. Really? Shout it out.
That's what we did when we were kids.
Did you hear that?
Always drew them from the side.
So I learned it. I learned as a child to draw it from the side. And you haven't grown up yet, right? Yeah, no, I'm teasing. That's what we're used to. Okay, good. Why else? Why else did you draw it from the side?
It's easier.
Did you hear that? It's easier. Good, especially if I have 30 seconds, under stress, got to draw a quick car. Good, it's easier. It's how I grew up. Other reasons. Think about why you drew it from that perspective. Okay, maybe that's where I see it from. It's from the side perspective. Have you ever seen a police car ahead of you? Have you ever seen one in your rearview mirror? Yeah? Yes, different perspective. Has anyone ever been inside a police? No, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Different perspectives, right? Yeah, but maybe we see them most often from the side perspective. Good. Other reasons that you drew it from the side perspective?
So that other folks can recognize it?
Yeah, maybe so other people can recognize it. And that's the way I was taught. It was easiest. I don't have the skills to draw it any other way. Does anyone else have the skills to draw it any way? So raise your hand if you didn't draw, if you drew it from another perspective. Yeah, there was one. Yeah, that's about one or two. Yeah. They do that from a different perspective. How does this relate back to what we're talking about in stress, brain, reactive, responsive? Talk to me. What did you learn? Creatures of habit. Yeah, we're kind of wired. Man, you were wired. You were taught back in kindergarten or even before how to draw a police car, and you have in your mind, you have a little connection. Did you know that? It says police car in it, and this is a little wire, and it's this little connection. Might be really small because some of you are not very good at drawing police cars, but that can be developed. Now, could an artist come in here and after training, maybe a day, two, maybe a week, 2 weeks? How well could you draw a police car then afterwards? After they were to teach you and show you? Could you change the way that you draw police cars? It's possible. It's possible, right? And so is the way that we see and perceive stress in our lives. Instead of just reacting one way, this is the only way, this is the way I've been taught, this is the way I was learned, this is the way, it was done in my house or in school, we can learn different ways. We don't have to do the same way that we were taught, right? If that was unhealthy way, or the easiest way, because how easy is it, right? Child misbehaves, spank, timeout. Man, that's easy, right? That's easy, but we can learn different ways to manage and respond instead of react to stress. Turn that piece of paper over or else get another piece. Ready for another one. This time, you're going to focus, I'm going to show you a picture. You're going to focus on this picture and you're going to write down as many attributes, phrases, or labels. So you're going to go for speed on this picture, okay? With 30 seconds. Ignore grammar, you're just going for speed. Here's the thing. You get 3 points for every positive but true descriptor of what you see up here. And you get 1 point for every negative. So you get points no matter what. And it's all about speed and time. Another caveat, this is your house, okay? You're not going into someone else's place. So this is your house. This is your sink. Go. Positive but true or negative. Either way, you get 3 points for positive, 1 for negative. Just as fast as you can write them. Three, 2, 1. All right, pens down. How did you do? Tally up your points. How many points did you get? Right out to the side, how many points you got? And then raise your hand if you got 10 or more points. Raise them high. Good, 10 or more. Did anyone get 15? Really, 15 points. That's good. That's really good to get 15 on this. Tell me some of the what you wrote down. It could be positive or negative. And this can be anybody. What'd you see?
Clean faucet.
Clean, did you say faucet?
Yeah.
Clean faucet. Oh, man, that's great. That's very perceptive. Wow, good.
You have dishes.
Oh, did you hear that? I have dishes. Yes, good. Oh, I have running water, even maybe warm water, do something mindless for a minute. Yeah, good.
Lots of things to eat.
Yeah, I had a good meal. Yes, good. Is that cake crumbs maybe right there? Yeah, I had dessert at least. Yeah, back here on this table. What'd you write down?
Good lighting.
Good lighting. Oh, very good. Yeah, that's a positive.
Nicely stacked.
Nicely stacked. Very good. At least they're in the sink, right? Yeah, They could be all over the. Oh, a good job for some. Not me, but as I come home, tuck the kids in, I come and I see this. Yeah, good. Yeah, this table, anything that you had, negative or positive?
No, somebody didn't have time.
Oh, yes. Someone didn't have time? Yeah, maybe I was spending time with my kids.
Well, I put busy spending time together, so maybe they didn't get to the dishes.
Oh, yeah, we were doing something else. Yeah, family time. Yes. Good. Negatives? Was there any negative? Did anyone write down any negatives? Yeah. Messy, dirty.
Big mess.
Yeah, big mess, ugh, work, yeah, oh, stink, right? Yeah, I have to work. Now, it's important, as you look at this, research shows that people who have a positive to negative ratio of about 3 to 1, 3 positives for every 1 negative, do best with kind of flourishing, being able to have some positivity. Now, some of you are thinking, wait. Dr. Dave, you said that negative, right? Why do we get 1 point for negative? It shows actually that some negativity, we have to be realistic, is important, at least having that balance. That's why you get a point for the negatives in this. But we try to balance every piece of bad news with some good news, more good news. So seeing this still, it's not like we're, Mary Poppins, I get dishes tonight. You do, yeah. That's not reality, unless you really, really love doing dishes, which I don't like. So this still is kind of a pain, right? There still are dishes. But being able to say, I get to serve, or maybe help out, or help out my spouse, or have a chance to do something mindless for a few minutes. Instead of seeing that and reacting immediately. You see how quickly we can do that? But doing this over and over can what? Start to rewire the brain. Let's do another one. I'm serious. Take another piece of paper. This one is your child and your brand new couch. Go. Oh, man. Okay, positives and negatives. You can balance as many points, as many descriptors as you can think of. That is a Sharpie. Four, 3, 2, 1. Pens down. Okay, was that more difficult? Was it easier for some of you? Yeah. What are some of the things that you put down on your paper there? A whooping. Yeah. That child's dead meat. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Creative?
Fine motor skills.
Did you hear that? Fine motor skills? Hey, look, my buddy can hold a pen. Right? Yes, yeah.
I thought it must be a pretty secure relationship because although she might look a little apprehensive, she doesn't look frightened.
Yeah, it doesn't look frightened. It's like, am I in trouble or not? Was this good or not? Yeah. Good. How many points did you get? Did you tally up your points? Anyone get more than 10? Yeah, okay. Did you get more than 15 or more? That's good. Yeah, I've seen a lot of positives. Okay, realistic, what are some of the negatives? My couch. Couch can be cleaned, or upholstery. We call that Pinterest, right? Yeah. Yeah. Good. Get a new couch. Yeah. Oh, yes, it depends. Have to get a new couch. Gonna clean that.
She'll be busy a long time making it totally black. I don't know.
Yeah, should we just go to town here, finish this, maybe sign it, and put your age right by it so we can always remember? Yes. Now, is there still Sharpie on a couch? Yes. Does anyone just love to come home to this? No. So I don't want to, again, be unrealistic. I'm not saying everything is positive. There really is marker on this couch. There really is this is not a good, happy thing. But the point is, instead of going right to reactive, training our minds and our brains to see the positive. Positive. Now you can do this or similar exercises with parents that you work with. You know another way you can do this every single day? Just practice it. Practice it. Walk out of here. Take a look at the great day that is outside, a spring day. Soak it in for a little bit. Next time you eat an orange, open it up and say, I'm the first person in the whole world that has ever seen inside this orange. I'm not like dwell on it and meditate on this orange. I'm talking just a few seconds, just to pause, slow down, and enjoy whatever that is. And so that trains our minds to see positivity. What happens?
You walk into the room and you see that,
Yes.
your brain
Automatically goes where?
You're gonna bottom out.
Yes.
Because you're not gonna say, "Oh, isn't that lovely?"
No,
You
right?
did a fine job.
You're right.
You know.
Unless we begin to train our brains a little bit different. It's still a mess. It's still a mess. But our brains can
That's all it is.
be rewired. They can be rewired. Even 70-year-olds, they've done studies. 70-year-olds, there is still brain plasticity, and they can still change even though they've done these patterns over time, all these years of seeing this, it still is a mess. But instead of reacting, we can respond. It's not easy, and it actually can take a lot of time to rewire. But if you can see one positive in the situation, how easy is it then to see positives from thereafter? First time you ever came to this hotel or another area, maybe you moved to a new town and you wanted to find the grocery store. Did you have to look it up? Maybe GPS it, right? Find on your phone of how to get somewhere? Let me ask you, the second time you went, were you able to find it a lot easier? Some of you are like, no, still can't find the store. Over time, what happens? How many of you can basically drive to work without think of anything else, right? It's autopilot. Why? Routines. You trained yourself to do it. So does that mean you can train yourself to see things a different way? It does. But it starts, if you can do it one time, the second time, you get another little thread in there. The connection is made. Pretty soon you've got these synapses, right? They're starting to connect to positivity. Slowing down and recognize it, being mindful is the first step in seeing a positive in a situation. Still, there is some negativity. I'll show you the power of the brain. I love this study. 3 groups of volunteers. Group 1, finger curls. 15 minutes a day for 12 weeks. Everybody stick out your finger. Now go like this. Now do this for the next 15 minutes. This is what they were instructed to do, okay? Finger curls. Can you imagine doing that actually for this long? Group 2, visualize finger curls. The same time period. I'm not sure which one is worse. Can you imagine, right? You're in your house. And my wife comes up to me. She says, honey, what are you doing? I say, don't bother me. I'm visualizing finger curls. You got 10 more minutes, right? Can you imagine? Now, you can't do a thing, but visualize it. So that's all group 2 is supposed to do. And then group 3, do nothing. So they come into the lab, they pull the lever on this little, that measures their strength and the finger strength. And then 12 weeks later, they go and they do the same thing. What happens? Group 1, 53% increase in finger strength. Can you imagine walking around? Well, look at these bad boys, right? Yeah. Check out my fingers. How big's yours, huh? Yeah, mine are buff. Group 3, is that a surprise? No increase. They didn't do anything. They didn't even think about it. Group 2, all they did was think about it. They didn't move a muscle. 35% increase in finger strength. Some of you are saying, I don't know if I believe that. They've done more studies where they've actually put casts on people's arms. Now you can't move for sure. And then they had them think about flexing their biceps, right? And they did this, same type of thing. Increase in strength. What does this mean? What does this mean? It means you can give up your gym pass and all you have to do is think about exercise. No, that's not what it means, right? You may be tempted. Yeah, honey, what are you doing? I'm jogging. I'm very, very tired, right? I'm just thinking about it. You don't even have to exercise, right? Now I can make a killing on this, right? I can travel and make it. No, that's not what is this saying, though? Thinking about exercise or anything else activates the same area of the brain as actually doing exercise, is actually moving the muscles. You can trick your brain into changing your body. Now, is that fascinating to anybody? What does that mean then for brain? Talk to me. What have you learned?
The brain is powerful.
The brain is so powerful. Yeah, beyond our ability, our own brain, to understand the power of our brain. It is. It's amazing. What else? What other insights? What does this mean? What does this mean for stress? We're still on parent resilience.
Then we can control our stress, our reaction to stress.
You can. You can control it. But the first step is believing that you can. If you're like, hokey, no way, can't do it, then you can't. Actually, if your brain says you can't, you're done. You can't. But if you start to change the way that you think, and then it affects the way that you act instead of react. It affects the way you respond instead of react. Yeah, it changes. So I love this new brain science, this neuroplasticity that we can change the way that we respond to stresses. There's been a lot of stuff on managing stress. We have stress. All of us experience stress. That's inevitable. Misery, though, is optional, right? The way that we respond to it. And here is stress management. For decades, the focus has been on stress management, which is still important. We have some handouts we just looked at. Stress management, here's stress management, but now moving to stress prevention is something a little bit newer. Okay, stress prevention, if we take in more positivity and start to dwell on it, I'm not even talking 5 to 15 minutes, I'm talking 5 to 15 seconds a day is what you're doing with any little activity that you're doing. You find something, you eat a scoop of ice cream, just slow down and savor it instead of, right? We get in such a hurry of eating everything. If we'll just slow down and just like, man, this is really good. Life is really good. All of a sudden, you know what you just did? You just created a little connection in there of positivity. You found something positive. Next time something happens, it becomes more positive. It's amazing. The last few weeks and months as I've traveled the state doing this, I've really tried to focus on that. As I travel, sometimes I'll turn off the radio. I'll just look outside and find something. Oh, wow, that's really pretty. Or look at this area or a sunset. Whatever it is, and then just dwell on it and say, it's good to be alive, right? It's positivity, increasing the positivity. And it works. It's real. It loads that positive experience into implicit memory. And then we can either we can start by creating positive experiences, or we can remember them in the past. Either way, for the parents you work with and in your own lives, you can do these things. Creating a positive experience. What does that mean? Anyone think of an example? How do I create a positive experience? What does that mean? It means I can be intentional, right? I can take my family out to a park. I can do things. It doesn't have to cost money. I can come home and roll around on the ground with my 7-year-old son when I get home from work for a few minutes. I can create positivity. All right? Give him a big old squeeze and say, man, I just love you, buddy. That's creating a positive experience. For those who maybe don't have children anymore, can you recall positive things? Does that do anything? It actually does. It actually tricks your brain into releasing the same chemicals and the same dopamine as when you were actually doing that. That's how powerful the brain is. That you can recall a positive experience, you can look at a book or a movie, listen to a song, and what does it do? It triggers a memory. So you can actually recreate, you can recall them in the past, absorb it, stay in the moment. Again, 5 to 10 seconds is all it takes for them to start rewiring. And that big cable that you think about, this is the way I was raised, this is the way I do it, you can start to rewire a different route. And then share them. Share them. The more you talk about the great experience, or guess what I did this weekend, or a vacation, or a good time that I had with my child. Sharing that, writing it down, share it some more, then it begins to change the wiring in your brain. It activates that positive mental, right? That positive mental state, installs it in the brain. I love this quote. Just finished this book, great book, Hardwiring Happiness. When you tilt toward the good, this is important. You're not denying or resisting the bad. So I'm not denying, because in all those pictures, there was still some, bad, marker. You're simply acknowledging, enjoying, and using the good. You're aware of the whole truth. I really like that. For so long, we've been kind of suckered into this negativity and because it's a negativity bias. We're wired to perceive threats and react instead of respond. But the new brain science gives me hope, very positive. Yeah, we can be aware of the whole thing. This is tough, right? It's tough sometimes to get and be and stay positive. But when the brain is positive, we're better. Performance is better. We perform better than a negative, neutral, or a stressed brain. They've done research on this, solving word puzzles. When someone is a positive state, they've experienced something positive, go in and do some word puzzles, bam, 20% better at solving those. Intelligence rises, creativity rises, energy rises. Do you love to be around positive people? It energizes me when I'm around positive people. Brain is 31% more productive. Yeah, you want to drain the brain, be around just this negative group that all it has is complaining or shares negativity, and it'll drain the creativity right out of you. There's this dopamine rush. That's what I talked about. Turns on all the learning centers in the brain. When you're positive, find something positive, you're able to remember more, take in more. Yes, and you see what's happening here? Probably even within this room in the last 30 minutes, new wiring has started, right? New ideas. And I see some of the wheels are turning. You're writing things down. If you write, that's why I have people write things down. A little idea comes to them, write it down on the sheet. What do I just do? One more little connection. You write down, like, oh, that's really neat. You write it down, boom, you remember it longer. So here are some things that you can do. These are research-based. These are not difficult things. 2 minutes a day, 21 days to rewire your brain for positivity. Why 21 days? 21 days, research shows, is when the neurons, they kind of regenerate themselves. And so there's actually a new you every 21 days. Did you know that? There's a new you every 21 days. Yeah, your cells regenerating. 3 gratitudes. 3 gratitudes a day. You know what I just told my undergraduate students this past Tuesday? I gave them a challenge stemming from this. I said, you know what? For the next 3 days, I want you to thank someone before 10 a.m. I want you, and it can be text, it can be email, it can be whatever you want. Thank someone. Find something or someone to be grateful for, and then share it. Let them know. You know what I received in my inbox yesterday? A little email. This girl in my class had emailed her high school teacher, former high school teacher, sent her this note, this email, just telling her how much I'm so grateful for you. You helped me through these tough times. And then she said, Dr. Dave, it worked. She responded, she was amazed that I would still remember her or be grateful for her. You know what it does? What does it do for the girl in the class that did that? What does it do? Builds herself up. More positive. What did it do for the teacher? Builds her up as well. Positivity. Yeah, a bonus. 3 gratitudes. Yeah, find something. I love it. Before 9 or 10 a.m., before you start your day, find someone to thank. 3 extra smiles. I love this one. What is smiling? Everyone smile. Okay, that was fake. Everyone really smile. Okay, and that's your real smile. That's your real smile. There's a real smile. You actually have the little curves, right, up in your eyes. That's a real smile. You don't get a dopamine release with a fake smile. Isn't that kind of crazy? So when you're faking it in the office or wherever with people, you're not getting the same effect. When that puppy is real, you get a dopamine release. That's the woohoo, that good feeling. 10-5 rule, Ritz-Carlton, the hotel chain, they came up with this. I love it. The 10-5 rule is simply this. When you're within 10 feet of someone, you smile. When you're within 5 feet, you say hello. Simple little rule. Try it. Try it in your offices. Try it in your organizations. Try it with the people you meet. How often, we get in an elevator nowadays and we're like, oh, it's like silent. There's these rules. They're like, oh, hide me, right? And, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody. And everyone looks at the floor. We become, there's these monsters who don't talk to anybody, or in the hallway, or, oh, I have to get a drink, or pretend like someone called me. Or we avoid people, but smiling and saying hello. Try it. Journaling. All these are research-based, comes back to sharing. What does it do? How many of you keep a journal? Anyone in here keep a journal? Yeah, regularly? Yeah, what does it do? Happiest person in the room, right here. Yeah. About one positive experience, try it simple. I'm not talking pages and pages. Try a little gratitude journal. One thing that made you happy today, right? Had an amazing meal, beautiful sunset, right? Took a walk with the dog. Whatever it is, journal it. It allows your brain to cement it and remember it longer. Focus on the positive. Next one, exercise. One we all know and that we love, exercise. What does that do for us? Man, that can increase positivity and just floods out the negativity and the stress. Yeah, that's what it does. Decreases anxiety and worry by 20%. Meditation, simply slowing down, thinking. It's thinking about the way that we think. About what can I change in my life, and what do I love, right? What brings me happiness? Racks. I love random acts of kindness. Racks, I call these. What are these? Give me some examples. Have you seen these?
Paying for somebody, behind you at
Yes.
the drive-through.
Paying for someone's meal, right? Yeah, right behind you. It happened to a good buddy of mine. He was the recipient of it. And what does it do for him?
You want to do this?
He's like, man, that was so nice of somebody. Yeah, and it makes me want to just pay it forward. That whole concept of random acts of kindness. It can be simple little things. Getting the door for someone, right? Helping someone out. I call it first observe, then serve. So what makes up well-being? We've talked about some things. Martin Seligman recently published a book called Flourish. 5 areas. It's called PERMA. PERMA stands for positive emotion. Some of this is the satisfaction, things that I love to do. For me, bowl of ice cream, right? Hanging out with my wife, bowl of ice cream. You know, dog hops up on us and it's, yep, good times. Positive emotion. Engagement. Engagement is simply anything that you love doing where you almost lose track of time. You know what I'm talking about? Good book, good movie or something. Relationships is the R in the PERMA. Relating again with other people. Think about those 3 needs, connections with others. Meaning, he found that people do best when they have some sense of meaning. Now, it can be a higher purpose. It could be a political cause. It could be volunteering, right? PTA, or helping others who are less fortunate in the community. Food bank, those types of things. It could be for some religious or a spiritual meaning, something beyond themselves. They found this, that it ties back to well-being. And the A stands for achievement or accomplishment. Those who kind of set a goal or work towards something. There's something in the future that they're looking forward to. They're training for something, they're practicing something, but they're involved in something that they can work toward and accomplish. And that brings meaning and happiness in our lives. So, help me tie all of this together. How does all of this relate back to stress? Managing stress, parental resilience when they face stress. What have you learned? Help me tie it all back together. Remember, when you raise your hand and you say something, it cements it in your brain longer, right? What have you learned?
Being more positive can help you deal with the stress.
Good. Being more positive can help you deal with the stress. Yeah, good.
You have a choice to be positive.
It is. Positivity is purely a choice, regardless of the circumstances. I know a man who has had cancer, bladder cancer, had his bladder removed. Now he has a bladder in a pouch. And during this time, I would receive weekly emails from him, and he would just be as positive as get out. He has cancer, and he's going through these treatments. He had about 18 of these infections in 1 year. Painful infections. But still, he would find the positivity, and it was a choice. It was a choice for him to stay positive. So choosing, it's a choice to stay positive when things get negative, helps prevent our brains from fighting or flighting, from taking off. So do you see more now about stress management, but now kind of a stress prevention and this positivity, being more positive, then I view things as less stressful. So they're less stressful because I'm more positive to begin with. I don't see it as stressful. So a few quick tips to remember. The power of 3s, I like this. A colleague taught me this one time. The power of 3s will, whatever it is, whatever the situation is, with the situation with my toddler, drawing on the walls. Will this really matter 3 hours from now, 3 weeks, 3 years from now? Is this that big a deal? I like that because it puts this whole thing in perspective. What really matters? And in the moment, when you get stressed out, remember the bottle? Yeah, you're shaking up the emotions. In the moment, oh yeah, it matters, and we dig in and we get all stressed out because we can't think long term. We think right now and react to the situation. But slowing down and thinking, is this really going to matter in the long run? Our tone of voice influences everything. First, our tone of voice sets the example, right, for our children as well. So not only are we modeling, our tone of voice helps us to model, but the message. If we remember our brains, if we start, our tone gets loud, a parent's tone gets loud, how much learning is taking place with the kids? Nothing. In fact, research shows 95 to 100 beats per minute, and then that's when you lose it, and you lose the ability to really have empathy, compassion, or really care about what anyone else is talking about. So tone, if we come from a soft place, a good place, it's going to be received as such. We come from a loud place, and the tone is up here. Yeah, then we feel that as well. Irritation is an invitation. I like this concept. When we feel irritated or a parent feels irritated, what is it? It's simply an invitation to look at things from a different perspective. Do you remember the police car? Seeing things from a different perspective. That's what it is. It's this we feel irritated inside, see things from a different point of view. And then remember that children, all of us, do things for reasons that make sense to us. So slowing down, having some compassion, remember that we all do things for reasons that make sense to us. Trying to see things, again, from this side of the police car. Oh, maybe it's here. Trying to see things from their shoes, from another person's perspective. I like this. People, in the end, are more important than problems or projects or profits or anything else. People are really what matter most. And that, the joy of our jobs and what we do and our interactions, we get to associate with people. I love that about our jobs. But how we choose to respond changes everything. So those are the key concepts in parental resilience. Must be healthy and functional in our own lives, getting the help that we need if we need it. Choosing to respond, choosing to be positive, choosing to be happy, looking on the bright side, balancing that with the negative. The negative comes. That's automatic. We don't have to even go looking for that. That comes. But choosing to balance that with the positivity can help us as we manage stress.